Roger, we're going to start now. We have started. We are recording. We're going to look at Romans again. And I was thinking of this today about my Romans. I was thought, well, how long can I talk about the Romans? And I thought forever, really. So we are. I'm just going to look at the list. We've got another 4 to go. And then we'll probably have another 8, just for the sake of it. I'm just doing this for a jolly, to be honest with you. Right, so we've mentioned this over the past few weeks. This is the Roman site at Wroxeter. And the Roman site at Wroxeter is a site that I put on to look at today because Bale wanted me to. And he can't be bothered to turn up, which I'm really not happy about. He probably sent me a text to say he can't make it today. Oh, yeah, he did send me a text to say he can't make it today. Oh, sorry about that, folks. Anyway, Wroxeter, I don't know if anyone's ever been to the site of Wroxeter. The Roman remains there are some of the best to see in Britain. There's a nice little on-site museum. There's the remains. There's a reconstruction of a Roman townhouse in Wroxeter. This wall itself, the Thermae wall itself, in connection with the central bathhouse structure. These are some pretty good remains, right? I think I mentioned the Thermae last week in Leicestershire. However, we're not starting with this week. We're going to come back to this image, and we're going to come to a few more images about Wroxeter and where Wroxeter is. It's just south of Chester, for those that don't know. Where we're going to go today is the fall of the Roman Empire in the year 410, right? So now the actual proper fall of the Roman Empire in the West was in 476, and I always say this about ancient Rome. Rome was only able to be brought down by people within. Alleric, who besieged Rome itself, the imperial city of Rome itself, in August in the year 410 AD, was actually trained by the Romans. He fought with the Romans, and he was a general for the Romans, but Alleric brought down Rome. But what I want to do is look at some really nice, interesting facts. So that's what we're going to do. There's a Roman general called Stilico that we're not going to really look at in detail today. But Stilico was also a half-breed, and it was Stilico's plan to work with Alleric, but that's another story. There's also the Roman general Ricimer, who comes in a little bit later, into about the 440s, 450s. Now, Ricimer is this Roman general who's a kingmaker. It's a bit like the Earls of Warwick being the kingmakers for the English crown in the 1400s, that type of thing. But we're not really going to look at Ricimer today at all. What I want to do is look at that date 410, right? And the date 410 is synonymous with everything that we were told at school. 410, we're told that the Roman legions left Britain, which I say is rubbish, because there weren't really Roman legions to leave Britain at 410. They were just gangs of Roman soldiers who were army groupings, but that's another thing altogether. This is a coin of Honorius, and I love coins of Honorius. And why? Because coins of Honorius have been found in Cardiff. And those that haven't bought a copy of my book, Richard, everyone else has. You're different, Richard. We've got coins of Honorius which have been found in Cardiff and elsewhere in South Wales, and they mark occupation, military occupation and contacts in South Wales into the 420s. So, you know, I never go with Roman civilization collapsing in Britain in 410 by any stroke of the imagination. But that's a gold coin, and as you can tell, it's stop being stupid. Anyway, so what I want to do is, I've got this little plan here, and start again. Right. Tell you what, right, if we go back to this one, right, the image itself is the way the Roman world develops, right? You can see 1 minute in the 500s, Rome itself, we're going to come on to that in a minute. Rome itself is founded in the year 753 BC. They knew Jesus was coming, so they stopped talking nonsense. Anyway, Rome itself didn't really start to get a big place or an expanding place until about the 500 years BC, and then it really started to expand. So what we got one of these little GIF images that goes really fast, and there's some dates. So watch it as it starts to go on. Go. So this is 510. Rome's a little blip on the Italy map, and then it expands a little bit towards the south, and then by 270 it's conquered the Etruscans. BC. This is all BC. They gradually get into Hispania, and then by see, it's going a bit too fast. So this is the Roman Empire really expanding, and the one thing that you can see from roughly around 70, 140 years AD, the Roman Empire doesn't really expand anymore, and from around that point, 140, it starts to decline. This is when the empire split into two, by about 420, and then by 480, with the collapse of Rome in 476. There's the blue bit's all that's left of the Western Roman Empire. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So in other words, Rome gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It keeps going to the birth of Christ is coming up. Jesus Christ is coming up, and then we go over to 20, and then by about 70 we're in Britain. We expand a little bit towards the east as well, a little bit more into Romania. Then from about from it starts to really decline. The empire split into two, west and east. And then by its collapse in 476, there's really not much left of ancient Rome at all. So I like that little plan. We'll keep that going on in the background. What I always say with Rome is that Rome took a very long time to develop. There you go, it's still developing. We've been building Rome for 700 years. Birth of Christ coming up. It keeps developing, going to the hundreds, nearly to 100 bits, 100 about 40. Only a little bit of an expansion in the 230s. By the 300s, there's this like collapse. So you get to 400, and then there you go, 420, 450, 480. Rome's gone. So that's what's called the Seneca Collapse. So sometime at the end of the 300s into the 400s, it only took 70 years for the Western Roman Empire to collapse completely in the West. 70 years, and it took, wait for it, here you go, 700. 800 years to build, nearly 900 years for Rome to build. A stagnation period into, here we go, into the 200s, 300s, and then by 400, come a bit further, and by 400 it's a Seneca collapse. It collapsed quite rapidly. So what I wanted to do today is look at this guy called Alleric. Now, what we think about the collapse of Rome itself, not the Roman Empire in the West, Rome, the city itself, the eternal city of Rome itself. The history books usually say that Alleric, a Goth, can't say it, Alleric, a Goth, right, who was actually trained by the Romans. He actually served under the Romans. He was actually a general for the Romans. He'd had enough, and he then decided to turn against Rome, right? Alleric is said to have entered Rome, set the city alight, took what he could, and Rome was left a smouldering ruin, right? That's not actually exactly true. But one thing that is true is that the capture of Rome, the city of Rome itself, the eternal city, the uncapturable Rome, almost was a dent in the armour of people who believed in Rome. So, my God, our city's just been taken. But the thing is, right, by about 410, right, Rome was a bit of a dive. The real power of the Roman Empire had moved either to Ravenna in the north of Italy, or it had actually moved to Constantinople in the east. It was safe. So, you know, it's that sort of, it's that narrative. The sense of Rome collapsing was not as dramatic as historians tell us. And there's some really nice key facts that we're going to actually look at. And they're all centered around this guy called Alleric. Now, that's a really interesting thing. And there's also this guy called Stilico, which I've mentioned. Stilico was this general who fought alongside Alleric, only to fight against Alleric, only to be killed by Rome itself, only for Alleric to lay siege to Rome and capture Rome. But Alleric's intention was never to capture Rome. He didn't really want it. And after 3 days, he left. So, in other words, there you go. Julius Caesar, many hundreds of years earlier, he came, saw, he conquered. Alleric captured Rome, and within a short period of time, Alleric was dead. So it was a bit of an anticlimax, right? It was a bit like meeting a woman from Barry, a complete anticlimax. But so what I'd like to do is, why are we doing? Oh, hang on, where's all the stuff? All my Alleric stuff is gone. Bugger. Hang on a minute. I just got to see what's happened here in a minute. Hang on, let's just see where all my Alleric stuff has gone. Hang on, Alleric, where are you? Where's all my Alleric stuff gone? It's all disappeared. Okay, what I've got this little thing I want to show you about Alleric, right? So, and the fall of Rome. Right, so we'll keep this in the background, and I'll just give you some nice key facts. Don't worry, nothing's changed, Richard. I still don't have a clue what I'm doing, so it's fine. You haven't missed much. So I'm going to tell you some facts about Alleric, but before we give you those key facts about Alleric, I need to tell you about Honorius, another guy that led to the fall of Rome. Now, Honorius was the reigning emperor over Rome itself. So if we want to go back to the image of Alleric, not Alleric, Honorius, there you go, got my words mixed up. This is Honorius. So Honorius was the Roman emperor at the time when Rome was captured. Honorius was not actually in Rome at that time. He was in Ravenna looking at his mosaics, because in fact, as I say, the centre of power in the Roman Empire by about 410 had moved elsewhere. Christianity was developing in Rome and 410. But anyway, let's tell you a little bit about this guy on the coin, Honorius. And I just thought, well, looking at the fall of Rome, you know, you may as well look at this. So Flavius Henorius, we know it well, was born on the 9th of September at 515 in the year 384. He was a relatively young Roman emperor. He was a Roman emperor at the age of 9. Amazingly enough, he's a Roman emperor at the age of 9, and he reigned until the 15th of August in 423. Right, now the coin that you're looking at is known as a solidus, which is a gold coin of the time. Now, the Honorius himself reigned for a short period of time alongside Constantine the Fourth, and then towards the end of his reign, Constantius the Third, but that really doesn't mean much. But the one thing, Honorius actually ruled the Western Roman Empire. The Eastern Roman Empire was reigned over by Theodosius II. Now, Theodosius II was the one who had a little bit more military power than the likes of Honorius. In fact, Theodosius was doing pretty well in the East. He's got his Constantinople, he's got Egypt and the bread basket of the old Roman Empire, he's got Syria, he's got Turkey, he's got Greece, he's got all the good stuff, right? Honorius is left with Greece, Spain, and the big troublemaker, France, and then the even bigger troublemaker, Britain. And Honorius himself, even by the standards of the rapidly declining Western Empire, Honorius's reign was precarious and chaotic. His early reign was supported by his principal general Stilico, who was successively Honorius's guardian during his childhood and his father-in-law after the emperor became an adult. So this guy Honorius, and what we've got, we can have a look at Honorius here. Let's have a little look at what Honorius looked like. There he is. He's a young boy. He's got the orb of office. I know this is a nice illustration of Honorius, and this is Honorius as he becomes emperor at the age of 9 years old. And this is by the French artist Jean-Paul Laurent in 1880. There he is. It says he's not eight years old. Okay. 8-9 years old. So this is him, right? He's a young lad, but he remains in charge. So when Rome itself collapses on his watch, this guy is only in his 20s. So you can imagine that he's trying to rule over the Western Empire and all by yourself. But you've got this support of this guy known as Stilico. Yeah. So what I want to do now is tell you some really nice choice facts associated with Alleric. Right, so what I need to do is, let's go back to the coin, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can get one of those images up of Alleric, so we can look into his face and we can probably understand a little bit more of what Alleric looked like and the type of man that the empire in the West fell to for a short period of time, right? Hang on a minute. there's Alleric from a medieval work. Okay, this is Alleric being portrayed. He's being portrayed as a king, and so on and so on. And there we go. And this image. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to save this image and see if I can get it up on the screen. And if we... So when I'm reading out this information, look at this image. I've been fascinated by this image all my life. So let's just try and get that in there. I'm trying to save this image because all my Alleric images didn't save. Right, so hang on a minute. So I'm just going to move out a little bit and hang on a minute. Oh, it's not opening. Right, here we go. One more time. Let's just see. Hang on. So I'll go into pot a minute. Oh, hang on. So just go down the page. I've got some problems wrong with my screen. And right, okay. So one sec. Come on. Bingo. Let's go it. Excellent. So you should be seeing... Hang on, I've got something wrong with my screen a minute. Hang on. This is a bit of a pain. I've got one of these computer screens that tendency to go out when it wants to. Give me a couple of seconds so I know where I am. Come on, screen work. Come on, up on the screen. I've lost you all together. Are you still there, guys?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. My screen's died a minute. Hang on. Hang on. Hang on. Is it coming back on? Come on. Come on. Come on. Right, okay then. Hang on a minute. Hang on, what has happened? My screen has completely died. Hang on. Right, hang on a minute. Right, okay guys, I'm just gonna have to get swap my computer screen a minute, so if you can bear with me. Something's happened. Hang on a minute. Oh god. No. Hang on, bear with me. Oh, what the hell's gone on with my screen? Christ. Come on. Yeah, I've still got my computer on, but unfortunately my computer monitor's died. So I'll be back now, hang on. Bear with me, folks. Hang on, bear with me. Hang on a minute. Hang on. Hang on a minute. Oh, stupid thing. Hang on. Oh, Come on, work. No, it's not working. Right, hang on. Bear with me. Right, what's the button I press? Input. No. Oh, stupid thing. Right. Come on. Hang on, folks. Oh, it's working out really well then as well. Hang on. Three. Right, I've got you. Excellent. Bloody hell. Sorry about that. Having to change a computer screen mid-lecture is not easy. Right, are you seeing this on the screen?
Yeah.
Good, excellent. Ah, aging technology, eh? Right, unfortunately, I am now upside down. Oh God. Flipping heck, please help. Oh, that's because I got the camera upside down. Sorry. Right, here we go. Oh, back again. Oh, I'm so good at trying to sort this technology out. Right, where were we with Alleric? Right, this is the scene that greets you. Right, this is the scene that greets you when people think about the sacking of Rome in 410. And have you ever seen this image, Del? What about you, Roger?
No, I don't think so.
What about you, Richard?
No.
You've never seen this image before. This is the archetypal sacking of Rome in 410. This is the burning of the temples. This is the looting and the pillaging. This is the killing of senators. This is taking the women away to be placed into slavery. All those wonderful things, right?
Who were the attackers?
Alleric and his Goths.
Just the Goths.
Yes, but weirdly enough, part of Alleric's army was actually a Roman army anyway.
Yeah.
It actually contained Roman legionaries.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do is I want to give you some bare facts about this wonderful Alleric, and here we go. Right. So fact 1 about this wonderful Alleric. So you're still seeing that on the screen?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, fact 1. 10 facts about Alleric and the sack of Rome in 410. So that's where we're going now. So, on the 24th of August, on the year 410 AD, the Visigoth general Alleric, he was a general because Rome gave him that title. General Alleric, Alaric, led his forces into Rome, looting and pillaging the city for 3 days. So that image must be true. It's got to be true. The image that you're seeing in front of you has to be true. However, even though it's described as the sack of Rome, it was considered restrained by the standards of the day. There were no mass killings, so part of that image that you're seeing is false, and most structures survived intact. Again, part of that image that you're seeing is false, though the event is seen as a contributing factor in the fall of Rome in the West. In fact, Rome was starting to crumble in the West anyway. So here are 10 key facts. So we're gonna look at these 10 key facts. Now, Alleric had once served in the Roman army. Yeah? So he had once served in the Roman army when the likes of Honorius came to be an emperor in the West. In the year 393, Alleric led a Roman army in 394, 1 year into the reign of Honorius, and he led a 20,000 strong force in aid of Theodosius, the Eastern Roman Emperor. So in other words, the Western Roman army sent Alleric as the head of this army to help the Eastern Roman world. In his defeat of the Frankish Roman general Arbogast in the Battle of Frigidus, Alleric lost half his men, but saw his sacrifice barely acknowledged by the emperor. So in other words, this is Alleric, right? He's a Goth. His people come from outside the Roman Empire. They come from outside the Danube and outside the Rhine River. They've come into Rome, right? And they're used by Rome to fight Rome's enemies. Again, Alleric lost half of his men, and half of those men that he lost were actually his own kin. They were Goths. They were from outside the Roman Empire. It was almost a mercenary army that the Romans actually had at this point. And nearly 10,000 of these men were lost in battle. Alleric's sacrifice of his men was barely acknowledged by Emperor Honorius. So, within 1 year of Honorius's reign, Alleric had had gone to the aid of Honorius, had led a Roman army, and Alleric was a little bit miffed by this, that he hadn't really been given the acknowledgement that he deserved. So Alleric, the story goes that after victory at Frigidus, the Visigoths decided to fight for their own interests rather than those of Rome. They raised Alleric on a shield, proclaiming him as their king. So in other words, this is like they've had this great victory for Rome, but they've not been given the acknowledgement for fighting for Rome, and they've decided to turn against Rome. This is the way the story goes. So in other words, Alleric was not looked after and decided that he was to turn against the hand that was feeding him. In a way, he was actually feeding Rome, because if it wasn't for his sacrifice of his men at Frigidus to defend Rome against its enemies, Rome would have collapsed then anyway. Like the Roman emperors Constantine II and Valens, Alleric was a member of the Arian tradition of early Christianity, ascribing to the teachings of Arius of Alexandria. So in other words, this man Alleric was not a barbarian, he was a Christian. So what you would usually see here, for God's sake, 1 second. God's sake, any more interruption, right? I get my computer going off, I got a bloody cockerel, cockadoodling, right? And I'm trying to do a presentation, right? I was trying to make an important point. I was trying to tell these guys, I was trying to tell these guys on the screen, right, that Alleric was a Christian, right? So he couldn't have been a barbarian at all, could he have? No, he wasn't a barbarian. So when they say that the city of Rome was captured by a barbarian, it's fake news, because not only was Alleric trained by the Romans, he fought for the Romans, and he was a Christian. So in other words, it was a Roman by name, but not by birth, that actually captured Rome, right? So it wasn't barbarians that captured Rome at all. So there we go. So so there we go. So anyway, fact number 4. At the time of the sack of Rome, Rome was no longer the capital of the empire. In 410, the capital of the Roman Empire had already been moved to Ravenna 8 years prior. Despite this fact, Rome still had great symbolism and had emotional significance to the beating heart of the Roman world, causing the sack to reverberate through the empire. So in other words, the capturing of the city of Rome itself not only affected the Western Roman Empire, it really affected the Eastern Roman Empire as well, because they thought, oh my God, their city, Rome, the eternal city, has been captured. So this Alleric, he doesn't sound like a barbarian, does he? He doesn't sound like a barbarian at all. Now Alleric, even back in the day of his fighting for Rome, after his great sacrifice at Frigidus that saved the Roman Empire from the barbarians, Alleric expected to be promoted to somebody of great importance in the Roman world. To be a true Roman general. He wanted to be promoted to be a true Roman general, to lead Roman armies. The fact that he was denied this very act of becoming a legator, a great Roman general, even though he was given a title of a Roman general, he wasn't a true Roman general. He wanted to be a Roman general, coupled with rumours and evidence of unfair treatment of Goths by the Romans, prompted the Goths to declare Alleric as their king. So in other words, he's turned against Rome. He was not treated properly. He's turned against Rome. Now, the other interesting thing is that Alleric then went on a looting spree. So Alleric decided that he would sack two great Greek cities. He would go and sack Sparta, we've all heard of Sparta, and another Greek city known as Attica in 396 and 397. The fact that the armies of the Eastern Empire were busy fighting the Huns enabled Goths to raid places such as Attica and Sparta, though Alleric spared Athens. So he was a bit of an educated individual. Alleric did not capture Athens and destroy it. He still had hopes that he would be respected by Rome, and he would become an individual that could fight alongside Rome rather than against it. The sack of Rome in 410 was the first time in 800 years that Rome had fallen to a foreign foe. But it never fell to a foreign foe because it actually fell to a Roman. Because this is just one of those myths. So the one thing about this thing in Rome was that the Romans were always fearing that their capital city would be captured. Now, Rome itself was founded in 753. It was captured in 390 by the Gauls, but then after this, between 390 and 410, for 800 years, Rome had never been captured by anybody. So this is one of those things. So it is getting to be a bit of a myth what exactly happened to the fall of Rome in 410, 24th of August. And they were only there for 3 days. So number 8, the sack of Rome itself was largely due to the failed alliance between Alleric and Stilico. Remember Stilico? Stilico was half Vandal. So in other words, the Vandals came from beyond the River Rhine, like the Goths came from beyond the River Rhine. Stilico, the great Roman general who kept the likes of Honorius in power, was married to the niece of the Emperor Theodosius, who at that stage was reigning over the Eastern Roman Empire. Though comrades in battle of Frigida, Stilico, a high-ranking general in the Roman army, was had later defeated Alleric's forces in Macedonia. So in other words, Stilico had then fought against Alleric. However, Stilico planned to enlist Alleric to fight for him against the Eastern Empire in 408. So basically, even though Alleric had been defeated by Stilico, Stilico put a hand out to Alleric and said, come back into Rome, come back and fight for Rome again. Come on, let's be friends again. And then we can turn against the Eastern Empire. So this story about Alleric is as interesting as the sack of Rome itself. These plans never came to fruition, and Stilico, along with thousands of Goths, were killed by the Romans, though without Emperor Honorius' say-so. So Emperor Honorius, even though it's said to have put Stilico to the sword, Honorius didn't really agree with what had happened. You know, he didn't really want Stilico to be executed. It was not under his authority, even though Honorius was blamed. Alleric strengthened by 10,000 Goths that had defected from Rome, and other Roman soldiers and Vandals and so on, sacked several Italian cities and set his sights on Rome. So in other words, if Alleric hadn't have been so badly treated, he would have been fighting for Rome itself. He would have been leading the armies of Rome alongside Stilico. So after the death of Stilico in 408, Alleric attempted numerous times to negotiate with Rome and avoid the sack. So in other words, he basically said, I don't want Rome. I'm not really interested in it, right? Why don't you take me on board to fight for Rome? And the Romans didn't have any of this. Emperor Honorius did not take Alleric's threat seriously enough, and negotiations crumbled under evidence of Honorius' bad faith and desire for war. Honorius ordered a failed surprise attack on Alleric's forces at a meeting where the two were scheduled to negotiate. Angered by the attack, Alleric finally entered Rome. So in other words, all along this, Alleric wanted to be Roman. He wanted to fight for Rome. He had fought for Rome. He had defeated some of Rome's enemies. He did not want to capture Rome, right? He didn't want to do it. But in 410, in 410 on the 24th August, Alleric captured Rome. Alleric died soon after the sack of Rome. Alaric's next plan was to invade Africa in order to control the lucrative Roman trade in grain. However, while crossing the Mediterranean, storms wreaked havoc on Alaric's boats and men, and he died in that very same year, probably of a fever. So the sack of Rome is not as dramatic as it sounds. Again, Rome was always captured by a Roman. In fact, there's a Roman general called Audacia, and in 476, the end of the Roman Empire, the end of Rome itself, the city of Rome, the eternal city of Rome, Audacia had fought for Rome and had decided to march on Rome after being treated unfairly, and captured Rome himself in 476, leading to the end of the Roman Empire. But one week I want to look at this individual who I keep mentioning, Ricimer, but that will be for another week. So what I'd like to do now, I'd like to look at Wroxeter. Let's have a nice little look at Wroxeter itself. Now, how many of us have actually been to Wroxeter, folks? Any of you? No? Pat, have you ever been to Wroxeter? I can't believe you haven't been to Wroxeter. Do you know what, Pat? You need to convince Jessica to take you to Wroxeter. I'm sure she will. Yes, Wroxeter would be a good place to go. So, and I do believe that somebody's muted you all. You don't have to be muted if you don't want to be. I haven't muted you. So,
yes, I
I'm
have been there
muted
with
because
you.
we've got.
hang on,
I'm
you've
muted
been.
because we've got a lawnmower going.
Well, I can hear the lawnmower. You went to. You've been with us. You've been to Wroxeter with us, have you, Pat?
I have indeed. Through the town.
That's
little
right.
Building.
That's right. That's the one. What a little building. Shut up. It's a big
It's
building.
huge, yeah.
It is huge. What about you, Roger? Have you ever been to
I
Wroxeter?
don't think so, Carl, no. That's big. I missed the trip there, I think.
Yes, you did miss the trip. You
Well,
also,
I've seen it.
yeah, you have missed a few trips, Roger.
Yes.
You have.
Right.
You have. But by the way, if anyone's interested, there's we haven't had anybody dropping out, but the 10 people going to York, there is actually there's a space in a shared room still available with a male, and there's a space in a shared room with a female. If anyone is interested, let me know tomorrow. But anyway, let's look at these images in regards to Wroxeter. Let's have another little look. And the amazing thing is, well, with doing these presentations, is I can talk about one thing to do with Rome 1 minute and completely go off on a tangent. So here we go. We're going to go to Wroxeter, known as the Roman city of Viraconium or Oriconium. There it is on the map. Wroxeter, Viraconium, at the end of Watling Street. There it is, lovely. And let's sort of move on. There it is. And you know what? Right, let's just look at the aerial view of this. So there it is. Then you can see this massive tower. No, massive tower. This massive towering wall of the Thermia. And to give you an idea again of scale, hang on a minute. Look at that. That one mighty wall at Wroxeter. So what we're going to do for I think is the last 20 minutes. Let's give you an idea. This is to give you an idea of the Roman city at Wroxeter, and this itself is the square here. This square is where the Roman remains are of this bathhouse structure, and you can see how big the city is. Right, and you can see these remains. Like many Roman cities, Wroxeter was never completed. But unlike lots of Roman cities, it remained in operation into the 500s and the 600s. And if anyone's ever been there, there's as part of the forum, there's a long colonnade. And interestingly enough, inside the forum, they've placed a reconstructed Roman building directly on top of the forum. Anyway, I don't know why they've done that. They could have put it somewhere else. But again, looking at this, and you can see the outline of lots of these walls, and there's this sort of the area of these Roman columns, and you can see that the archaeology is several meters in depth. So you can see that they've actually had to excavate several meters there, and about 4 or 5 meters of build up there. So the entire Wroxeter is so massively full of remains. It's an incredible Roman city. It really, really is. And that there is a reconstructed townhouse. As I say, the reconstructed townhouse, in regards to, they've put that directly on top of the Roman Forum, and it does give you a little bit of an idea of the scale of these ruins, and that's what this once looked like. So what I'd like to do is look at my notes. So Wroxeter is a village in Shropshire which forms part of the civil parish of Wroxeter. Viraconium, Wroxeter was the 4th largest city in Roman Britain, and it has been gradually excavated over the years, and I do believe they do occasionally have excavations there today. So Roman Wroxeter, near the end of Watling Street, that ran across Britain from Dover to Wroxeter, and then all the way to the sea. It's archaeology has shown that the site of the later city was established by around AD 55 as a frontier post. But then it grew and grew. A few years later, a legionary fortress was built within the site of the later city, accommodating the 14th Gemini Roman Legion. And the local British tribe, the Koronovi, had their original capital here, at Viraconium. And in many ways, the name is derived from the Cornovi people, Viraconium. There you go. You take off the VRO, and that's Conion, the city of the Cornovi people. And then this is really key. The site was abandoned, and they decided to build a city there instead. And this is very similar to Caerleon. What happened at Caerleon was that the city at Caerleon was founded after the Roman legion moved out from Caerleon, leaving behind the barracks, and then you've got the amphitheatre being constructed and all the rest of it. So the name of the settlement, meaning Viraconium, which means the city of the Cornovi, and is believed to have been a masculine name given to the tribal people that means werewolf. So the Cornovians were the people of the wolves, or the werewolf people, which is rather interesting. Viraconium prospered over the next century with the construction of many public buildings, including a Thamea, which is that big chunky bit of the building that you're seeing, and a colonnaded forum. At its peak, being the 4th largest city in Roman Britain, having a population of 15,000. The Roman city is first documented by the geographer Ptolemy in the 100s, and he mentions this alongside Chester, which is Diva Vitrix, which is the place of the Vitrix Legion, which is Chester is where you've got the base of the 20th Valia Vitrix Legion for a short period of time. Now the major thing about this site is that after 410, 420, 430, the city seems to very much be fully operational. It's a big place. It's a place that continues as a city, and it very much continues into the 700s. But then the city's hit by famines and plagues. It's classed by Geoffrey of Monmouth in his History of the Britons in 1136 as one of the 28 cities of the Britons. And the massive thing about Wroxeter is it's part of this early medieval setup where things continue and things don't go into a demise, but things are in operation in this post-Roman world, and in many ways that's what we're going to be looking at tomorrow in the lectures tomorrow, where we're going to be looking at a very interesting period in the early medieval period, associated with monks and monasteries and all the rest of it. But that's what we're doing tomorrow. So Viraconium itself is a site that's been excavated from around 1859. You can't miss it because this big building sort of sticks out. I've seen earlier illustrations from the late 1700s. And then in 2010 they built a replica Roman villa, and this was featured in a regular program on Channel 4 called Rome Wasn't Built in a Day, and the building was then opened in 2011. So they managed to build a completely reconstructed Roman building in 1 year, basically. So we're going to have a quick look at some illustrations, and if we go back again, and what we can see is that this is the bathhouse structure, and the thamea is this bit here on the cursor. So where the cursor is here, so the big bit of wall that has survived, if I want to ink this in, is in fact let's draw that in. The big bit that survived is this bit here. Right, and if we go to where we're looking at the plans, and we get rid of that, so that big bit of building is basically what I've just shown you on the map, is in fact this. So if we want to move this full circle, and we go like this, and then we go, that's what you can see today. So the biggest bit of the building is this bit. All the rest of the Roman hall has gone, and we've only got foundations of the plunge pool and other pools and all the rest of it here, and the heated rooms as well, the floor heating rooms in the main thamea area. And then we're looking at this wonderful reconstruction. If we want to move that around, there you go. So that you can see all the stacks of timber there. They would probably use one big stack of timber every single day to feed the furnaces. They would use tons and tons of timber every single day to feed the furnaces. And I'll write something down there. If we move on a little bit more, and there it is. It gives you an idea of how big the city was, because this is the outline of the boundary of the city, and you can see sort of this big sort of bathhouse complex. But this is one insula, which is a division with the Roman city, and you think that when you look at this sort of hang on a minute, we've got a little map, haven't we? Where's that? Oh yeah, there we go. So when you actually think of this is just a small, not a small area, but it's dwarfed by the rest of the city. But the remains today dwarf what is left within the landscape, because these are the substantial ruins alongside the colonnade. You know, I just think I love actually looking at nice little reconstruction plans like this, because it gives you an idea. But where all the green areas are, it's areas that were never ever completely occupied by the Romans in regards to the city. And again, it's great. So when I do look at Roman Britain, I always talk about you know, we don't have many remains. If you want to compare the remains in Britain with France, that are over 2 or 3 meters in height. But look at this, so you can get an idea of the height. It's a good about 8+ meters in height, still standing, with all the with all the holes. Some of them scaffolding holes, some of them were to hold beams. But again, I really like the huge scale of this surviving. It was known as the workhouse on maps into the 1800s. And again, giving you this idea I think they've had a little bit of rain there, and the way they've actually conserved this site, which is actually great. And again, look at that. We'll come back to that other illustration. And the big Thermae wall itself is actually there. It sticks out there. So again, a huge complex. There's so much to excavate at Wroxeter. They've probably got about probably in the region of 90% of the city still to excavate, and some of the other remains might be very similar to this, but not the big chunky wall that's sticking out of the Thermae that we've actually seen in these images. A reconstruction of what the forum would have looked like. The forum is directly underneath where this house is. The reconstruction of the house was done in 2010. So I'll go back over a couple of those images. This is the church at Wroxeter, and most of the material used in the church at Wroxeter is actually from the Roman city, and also within the gateway leading into the churchyard there are actually 2 Roman columns, actually from the city itself. It's very much well worth a visit. It really is. And again, looking at that there, looking at the aerial view on how impressive the Roman remains are in regards to this site. And then finally there's this. This is rather interesting. The reason why this is rather interesting, we do believe that the city is really fully operational, and everything's still sort of chugging along into the 400s, 500s, 600s, and new buildings are being constructed. I'll just give you a little bit of information that will lead us nicely into next week. So what we do find is that it's very possible that, you know, all the functions of a city continued. We've mentioned that this remained into the 400s, 500s, 600s. It become the centre of a new kingdom, a new British kingdom, later to be overtaken by by the Mercians. The city, due to various diseases and plagues, is probably abandoned by about 750, but it's always remembered as one of the great cities of the Britons, as recorded by Geoffrey of Monmouth in 1136 in his History of the Britons and the History of the British Kings. On that note, we're going to call that a day. Are there any questions, folks? Sorry for all the sorry for all the interruptions from the the cockle. Yeah, he's been haven't you? You've been in a fight with another cockerel, and he was very horrible, and you like cutches. Right, so Roger, what would you like to say?
Yeah, you mentioned they took all the Etruscans in the early days, but I thought the first rulers of the empire were Etruscan kings before the rest came in.
No, what we do see is the Etruscans did move south, and they would have conquered the area of Rome, but the Romans were an autonomous group of people that were very fiery, and then obviously later on the Romans took over the Etruscans and the territory of Tuscany.
Hello?
So what about you, Del? No?
No, fine, thanks. I've got to go now.
Okay, Del, we'll see you tomorrow. What about you, Richard? See you, Del. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, Del.
Yeah, okay.
Anything, Richard?
No, not really. I nearly did actually go there to Wroxeter.
Oh, well, yeah, that was last year, wasn't it? You should have gone.
2019, yeah.
Oh, that year. Oh,
I went to Chester.
Oh, yeah, the year before, the whole year that we've lost in our lives, yeah. So in other words, it's 2019, 2021. That was our last year, Richard. Get your maths straight.
Yeah, 2019, I went to Chester.
Yeah, that was last year because 2020 didn't happen. What about you, Pat? Anything you'd like to say? You should have...
No, it was a great trip, though. And I remember walking around the house, you know, how they had it all decorated, painted, but you know how dark it was, too. The windows, I think, were very high.
Yes, they were. Yes. Very high. Really wonderful site to visit when the sun's out. Not when it's raining like we had at Vindolanda. Christ.
Oh, still, remember it.
Yeah. Did you went to Vindolanda as well? Did you, Rog?
Yeah, I remember it. I was on the wrecked umbrella.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Cafe.
Yeah. So anyone else want to say anything else before we finish? No. Okay then. I will see Richard. I will see Richard on Friday, hopefully, and I'll see Roger and Pat tomorrow. Oh no, I won't see Roger tomorrow. I'll see Roger on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hey, Rog.
Yeah.
Don't forget to send your money through.
Yeah, on the 25th, as usual.
Roger, you've always got to be. You're a man of habit. You've always got to do something very awkward.
Well, it makes it that I don't forget to send you money for all the good.
Oh, right, Rog, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Yeah, Rog.
Regular and dead on.
Yeah, just keep it regular, Rog. It's fine.
That's it. Keep regular.
Keep regular. On that note, I will see you all soon. So take care,
Yeah,
Pat.
yes,
Take care,
okay.
Roger, and take care, Richard. I'll see you all guys soon.
Cheers, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. It's a turkey. Do you want a turkey? Anyway, take care, folks. A few things in the middle. I need